Great morning. I'm starting a whole entire series called the Healing Series, and it's a complete series. And this is going to be part one. The parts might go over to 100, who knows? But this is part one, the first video of the Healing Series. And the first subject I got to talk about is people love things that basically, what I first thought was people love things or like things that didn't love or like them back. I don't even want to use love anymore because that's a difficult skill for most of the time. It's an easy word to say, and people confuse showing duties and obligations with love. Like if somebody in a marriage and a husband or wife shows each other like affection and do things, that doesn't mean that's love. It just means that we're in this bond together, this a legal bond or emotional bond, whatever they got with each other, and we have to do this in order to show that we care for each other. But that doesn't really prove that you actually care for that person. What proves you truly care about somebody is when you don't have to care about them. That shows you truly care when you don't have to care about somebody. So then there's no obligation or condition attached to your kid. So most throughout the whole human course, the whole human being course, um, doing things and stuff like this in the history of the nature of feelings and emotion has always been attached to something conditional. Like, I love this person because they care about me. I love this person because they do this for me. And when I'm feeling sick, they there for me and they take care of me. So it's like you only love them because of what they represent. They complete you. But do you truly love somebody who don't complete you? Somebody who get on your nerves, somebody that you can't stand, somebody that's going to challenge you, somebody that's going to force you to be uncomfortable, that's going to force you to grow? And the answer is no. Reason I know this for certain because I'm that type, right? I'm the type that you wouldn't love or truly like because I'm going to force you to grow. I'm going to force you to be uncomfortable. I'm going to force you to see things about yourself that you don't want to see. I'm going to basically be a reflection of all your insecurities. I'm going to force you to look in the mirror. I'm going to force you to do all these things that you don't want to do, and that's going to cause a dislike because of course you associate like, care, love, and affection and all these things with things that cater and are tailored to your particular set of personalities and egotistical ideas that actually match your, what you would say, whatever type of self-esteem you have. So if I don't match that, then that means you can't like me. You have to block me, push me away, guard yourself, can't trust me. So all those things. So at first I was thinking like, all right, people like people who don't like them back or who didn't care or stuff like that. Then I've been enlightened. I was going through that and figuring like this had to be the reason. Like, why are they? But what I was speaking from, it was a place of hurt. I was using the intelligence of hurt and I was applying that intelligence of hurt onto the reality. I was painting that picture onto the reality that they like people who don't like them back because I was hurt that they like people, but I wasn't hurt that they like certain people. What was the true issue with me was I was really trying to come up with a way and make it intelligent enough where it could be justified to saying they like people who don't like them back and they don't like me. Sort of like I'm throwing uh, uh, a inner eternal tantrum because I'm feeling like they don't like me. But I'm not coming up with a solution for it. I'm just ending it like this. Yeah, you like this person, they treat you like trash and they do this, but I'm not coming up with a solution of why I'm truly affected by it. I'm just ending it like that. So I could go off and justify and have a reason to now either call them names, put them in a certain category, subject them to something, or just label them as something just so I can now identify them as that's who they are and that's that. And then I can navigate my way around that. But the true case is that once I remove the hurt and really start to look at it like they don't like people that destroy them or abuse them or stuff like that. And how they treated me wasn't because of how they actually treated me. What was the reason was because I was more so like in this real trance about it. And then I had to understand, like, wait, they don't get along with me. Like, really seeing my behaviors, my true behaviors from the start was because I was always known as a big mouth. I was always known for my speech, for saying stuff, for expressing myself, for saying things that I wasn't supposed to say or doing things that I wasn't supposed to do. I was always acting on the things I've said. And that caused people to handle me a certain way, to mistreat me in a certain way, to to do things to me in a way where I blocked out truly understanding and only wanted to go into an attack mode. So once I removed the attack mode, then the understanding overflowed. And it's like, oh, y'all didn't handle me like this because of me being a certain way or me doing a certain thing or whatever the case I was trying to say it was, but it really wasn't. The true enlightenment of the story was that they handled me a certain way because of what I was doing. I was holding them accountable. Just I was known for expressing myself, for being honest, for being a big mouth, for being a loud mouth, for saying things and doing things that pointed at people, that blamed them, that held them accountable for their actions. I was known for saying that. Like, why is this like that? And saying it out loud, not just in secret, like expressing it in an area full of people. Even when I told jokes, I was also known for being super, super funny, like extremely funny. I always used to tell a lot of jokes, but my jokes was based on like real realities, like real things people was going through, and I was able to make it become funny to others who either related to it or didn't relate to it or whatever the case may be, but it was always super hilarious and people was disturbed by that. So now adding all that up is because I've always represented accountability. So people always handle me in a way where they didn't want to handle me. And then I got hurt and pissed off about it because I felt like I'm being mistreated or mishandled. I'm supposed to be way more precious. I'm supposed to be handled so brilliantly and delicately because I'm so amazing and so extremely super duper valuable and so gorgeous and important and handsome and spectacular, right? These is my storylines. This is why you supposed to do this. But if I would have changed that you and replaced it with this is what I'm supposed to do this, it would have made a difference. Because then the responsibility, the accountability that I was trying to hold everybody up to, I would have held it to myself. But then I did do that as well. And that's where my deep conceit came in. Very healthy deep conceit. I've done that. I did it. Continue to. So saying all this and realizing that they didn't like the people who mistreated them. They liked the people that didn't care about them being crappy, that didn't care about their disappointing behaviors, that didn't care about them being better. Those are the people that they wanted to hold on to and be attracted to. And I was puzzled by it because I didn't understand what was it. Like what was it? And that misunderstanding could lead to many of things, many of plots, many of disturbed feelings and disturbed emotions when it's really like no, it's just because this person is not making them see themselves in a certain way. This person is just as crappy as them. So it is no real wrong or right. And then usually people wouldn't even commonly and mostly people wouldn't deal with anybody that's better than them or has an edge over them. What got me to certain levels of life because I always sought out somebody that was better, somebody that had an edge over me, somebody that had something I didn't have, and I wanted to really latch on to that and understand and see like how could I get this thing that they have and I don't have. What type of thinking are they using to get this? What type of emotional state they in? And most of the times they went about it in normal traditional ways to get certain things, whatever the case may be. But I always was trying to figure out a way around it. But then when I noticed, and I always asked a lot of questions, always been curious, always been very psychoanalysis with things. And most individuals never did that. So it was always coming off weird. Why are you asking so many questions? Why are you so curious? It was always a thing because then it made them feel like some type of guilt or shame or whatever the case may be. Again, they don't want no one to question them. They want someone to just accept them and not question them. So that's why you get a lot of individuals saying, "Oh, I want somebody to accept me and all my flaws and all this kind of stuff." But in all reality, you just want somebody that's not going to basically push you to grow or be anything in life. You just going to want them to just accept you for everything and anything you are, and you want to have the edge of them. You want to be better than this person so you could tell them about themselves and not feel so lowly about yourself. You can't do that with me because I'm always going to make you face yourself. So that's the reason why a lot of individuals tend to block me or push me away or just trying to ignore me in any type of form because I make them deal with themselves. I make them see something about themselves that they don't want to see. And it allows them to basically get into this mode where they're like, I don't got to deal with this. And then they run to somebody or some type of family where they don't have to deal with it. And then try to fill in all these empty voids in their families or whoever in their life and still come up short, like still come up not good enough. But it gives them a sense of structure and empowerment that the fact that they could feel like I'm important because these people need me. But it's like, no, those people actually don't need you and they not showing you that they need you or want you. You just gaining this false sense of um empowerment by see what I just did? I did that on purpose. I reversed it on somebody else, but it had nothing to do with the other person. And that's what I've always done. Like try to psychoanalyze someone else when really I'm kind of just secretly and then discreetly talking about myself. So that's what I had to be enlightened about. The fact that I'm a walking representative of a high, super strongly high standard and super high responsibility and accountability. No wonder everything I went through life, I used to always say, "Dang, if I do this, these type of consequences, whether it's a consequence that's in my favor or not, happen to me." But I watch somebody do the same thing, and then it don't happen to them. Now, this is a special case because most might relate to it and say, "Oh yeah, that happened to me," but I'm not talking about that. This is not that common thing where you could do something and get blamed for somebody else doing and get away with it. No, what I'm speaking of is way is much more divine, much more much more in depth than that. It's like my situation is based off of me being able to be held accountable. That's what it was doing. It was my own nature showing me that you can't do what this person does because you are held to a higher regard. So they could do that, but you can't do that because you held to a higher regard and a higher responsibility. So you don't have to do what they do. But if you do what they do, you're just going to get messed up because you held at such a high regard that you trying to step down on a low stairs, you're going to trip and fall because you used to just rising up. You used to climbing the stairs, not descending. So this is a part of my healing series where I now look at everything and I could hold myself to the greatest and highest accountability like I've always done and really understand that truly the only fault, if there is a fault, right? Let's just say it is. The only fault that there is the fact that it's my fault for being liberated. It's my fault for always wanting to grow and be amazing. Because it's not hard to change. It's not hard to grow. That's the excuse. But individuals are so tied and so attached to being crappy that they choose it every single time. So it seems like growth is hard, it seems like change is hard, it seems like taking a chance It's hard, but it's actually super easy. In fact, it takes no thought, no intellect to do it. It takes no emotional feeling to do it. It's just as easy as doing this. It's just you so accustomed to being crappy that you just that's what you cling to. It's easy to do that. So my experiences in this aspect was just basically based on accountability, being at the highest standard, and understanding that no one was can be ever better or was ever better or more worthy than me. It wasn't any of those cases, wasn't any of those justifications or anything I tried to use to as fuel to motivate me in any type of way. It was just a race against me, right? And what happened to me was because I was making somebody confess their true nature and they wasn't ready to do that. I represented a spirit of responsibility, a spirit of if you do this thing, you got to answer to it. When most live in a state of constant avoidance and running away. Now I realize it.